Wanted to explain a little bit about the setup I'm using for my GoPro. So I thought I would just go through my box here and show some of the different component pieces that I'm using and talk about how I'm mounting it on the Challenger. So this piece here is the standard waterproof housing, and I've got a couple of extensions here that for adjusting the angle. These I haven't really used a whole lot, just because most of the surfaces I'm mounting to are relatively flat, or I'm using a different mount. I don't use this a whole lot because there's no provision for an external microphone on it. The case is sealed, so you can't plug in the mic adapter. So if you want cockpit audio, this case doesn't work. So I bought this case here. This is the skeleton case, and you can see it's got this cutout on the side, and that fits right over the micro USB and the memory card, and so you can plug your microphone adapter, your standard GoPro microphone adapter, into that. And that works real well. Also, it's nice and lightweight. It does not provide any kind of protection for the unit itself, but that hasn't been an issue. And then in conjunction with the skeleton case, I use this piece here, which is a slip-on neutral density filter, and that helps clean up the video just a little bit. It also provides some bug protection so they don't smack directly into the lens on the GoPro itself. I also use this little rubber lens cap, which I painted orange, just to protect the GoPro when it's in the box. In the box I've got a variety of other mounts and all the accessories. This is just a cheap Harbor Freight box that I just picked up to throw everything in. So what I typically do is use this case with the GoPro mounted in it, looks something like that, and I don't have the thumb screw in or the camera in, but you get the idea. And then on the airplane itself, I've got a variety of mounts that I've tested out, and this is one of the more recent mounts. This is just an adhesive curved mount mounted on the tail, and this would just clip right in. Gives a good behind the airplane perspective, and that's about what you would be seeing when the mount's on there. Problem with this mount is that you see a lot of the stabilizer down here, so I've experimented with extensions to raise this up a little higher. That cuts the amount of stabilizer you see in the frame, but it also wobbles the camera around a lot because it's higher up. So still working on that. I may move it up to the front, maybe up in here someplace. More experimenting needed on that. Moving over to the wing, this is where a lot of the videos are shot, is mounted on this ball mount right here. This is a Ram ball right here, and it's got this little V-block and a hose clamp, and I just put a red shop rag over the strut to protect it, tape down the ends so they wouldn't flap around with some black electrical tape. And this ball serves as my mounting point on the strut. When it's mounted there, I can angle it at the cockpit occupants. I can angle it forward to get that kind of quartering view where the nose, you see the nose and a little bit of the runway, and you see the occupants off to the right-hand side. I can angle it back and be looking back towards the tail on the engine. This spot has worked out pretty well. I'm pretty happy with that. And normally, it's mounted in there like that. And I'll get to the part about the GoPro clip and the ball here on the next shot. This is a current spot I'm experimenting with. This is mounted halfway on the strut between the fuselage and the jury strut, and it's aimed backwards, back towards the tail. So when it's mounted, the camera sits about right there, looking back. This one's turning out pretty good as well. And excuse me. Again, another V-block, and this time mounted with some zip ties, just holding it on. And this holds pretty firm. Vibration is more of a concern than a thing falling loose. And again, the standard Ram 1-inch ball. I've got a short adapter piece here, and then I've got this vibration isolator wire rope mount. And you can see it's got a ball on the bottom side, and it's got the GoPro receiver on the top. This vibration mount has been working pretty good. It takes a little bit of fine-tuning to dial it in. You adjust the length of these individual wire pieces, and it raises or lowers the mount, and that changes the way it vibrates in relation to the base. So the idea is you experiment with it for the type of vibration you're getting until you find the right tension on the wire to cut out that vibration. So what I normally do is mount the skeleton housing in the wire vibration mount, and then adjust for that. And then when I want to aim it, I can just loosen this and use the double ball to articulate where I'm aiming the mount, and I can get behind it and I can sight where the frame is going to be in. And when I find the right position, then I lock it down. It takes a little bit of experimenting because as you tighten it, the clamp comes together and it pulls things off just a little bit. Sometimes it takes a couple of iterations to get it aimed right where you want it. And then you see this rubber band here. What I've started doing is taking this rubber band and just throwing it over the top, and that helps cut some of the remaining high frequency vibration. Especially when this thing gets longer, it tends to vibrate back and forth, so that kind of helps dampen that out. I've tried a variety of other places. I've mounted them on the wing struts, looking forward and backwards. The strut location hasn't worked out real good because when it's close to the fuselage, all you see is fuselage on one side of the frame, and it kind of spoils the video. Same thing when you're looking backwards. If you're attached to the forward strut or the drag tube or out on the axle, or, all kinds of places, you still have that fuselage in half the frame, and that's no good. I've mounted to the root tube right here, where I put one of those clamping mounts on here, either with a hose clamp or some zip ties, and then an extension and my isolator mount. So the camera is mounted up here like this, and from there, it's a pretty good position. You get an unobstructed view ahead or behind, and that works okay. But the problem is the arm and the ball and all that is so tall that this thing tends to wobble around a lot. So it really needs a different style of mount, maybe a triangular mount or something like that, but that provides a more stable base. So I have not found an easy solution to keep this thing from shaking back and forth. And then the final place that I've played with and kind of like is out here on the end of the lift strut where it attaches to the spar. Let me back up so you can see. So that provides a good mounting spot for looking forward. If you attach it here and angle it straight forward, you have a pretty well unobstructed view straight ahead. It's off to the side, but it looks pretty good. If you angle it back in, you can see the passengers and the front of the airplane, and you can find the right angle where you can see them off to the right, and you can see a little bit ahead. But it's kind of far out here. It's really more suitable for if you want to capture what the occupants are doing, and maybe conversation between the front and rear seat. So this is not a bad spot for that, because you can see the entire fuselage in the frame. I experimented with moving it kind of back over here and looking backwards, but again, like mounted to the fuselage, you get so close to this surface of the wing that it kind of spoils the video because that's all you see. A few other places that I've tried that haven't really worked out that great. I put the V-mount on the front of the nose gear. I clamped it right here around this piece of the tube, and the camera was mounted right here looking forward, so it'd be about like that. And that was kind of interesting. Same problem, you still have kind of close to the nose cone. You get a lot of movement on the ground, and then in the air, every time you step on the rudder, which is a lot in the Challenger, you're constantly doing this with the camera, so it's a little distracting. I was looking for a good way of doing forward view, so if you're doing a flyby down the runway, you get a good forward view, and this would work. But probably a better thing would be to devise a mount on the nose cone itself, probably a curved adhesive mount just stuck right there, and then the camera would be looking just like that, and that would probably work out just fine for a straightforward shot. Those adhesive mounts have worked flawlessly so far. I have not had one come loose. I've got safety cables on everything, but I've got probably 20 hours of video and various adhesive mounts flying, and I haven't had any problems. I haven't had any loosen, haven't had even a hint of a problem. So I've been building up slowly confidence in those things. And then the chase camera is still under development. What I do is I run a wire from the cockpit back over to some rings here, and redirect the chase camera. You see another one back here, and have it trail off of the wing strut back here. The idea is to get the camera to fly back in this position and relatively behind it, so that when the plane is flying, you see it just like this. Problem is, the chase cam is not flying, it's being relatively just dragged through the air. And so the camera tends to fall way down. And so when you're looking, you're always looking up at the airplane. And until I can solve that, the video is not all that interesting. I looked at a couple of spots back over here using mounting points, like where the strut attaches. Thought that might be a good spot, but for a variety of reasons, I didn't really care for that. And maybe somewhere back over in here might be a good spot for, looking forward. I don't know how distracting the engine is going to be spinning the prop, but it might be something to experiment with in the future. So that's my GoPro setup. The thing really is just to try a variety of installations and then look at the video and see how it looks. You got to solve the vibration thing. Your base has to be fairly stable, and then you're going to get vibration transmitted through the airframe into the base, into the camera. So you got to attack both of those simultaneously. And then the position, just changing it a little bit sometimes has a big effect. So you got to experiment and just play around with it. Hope this helps.